Good day, and today we're going to talk about the sound of poetry. So when we think of our basic sound principles, how do we hear what is sound? We first look at the resonance. Now, resonance designates the ability of a vibration to reach out through waves to set off a similar vibration in another body. Now, these sound vibrations are also part of physics. They're connected to the vibrations of atoms and molecules in the air. And of course, then life is composed of atoms which contain protons and electrons. These are electrically charged particles of energy that are in constant motion. So then how do we transmit sound? How do we transmit a resonant vibration? Well, that's going to require three things. First, there must be an original vibrating energy source. This can be thought, sounds, colors, musical instruments, even simple voices. There must also be a transmitting medium. The air is usually the most common carrier. Finally, there must be a receiver of the vibration, something which will receive and respond to the energy or sound vibration being sent, like maybe perhaps the bones in your ear. Now, with the effects of sound in any form, they can be cumulative and they should be detectable. Sound in any of its forms is a source of energy. Remember, there's these protons that are being activated and therefore they are creating energy. Now, the effects of sound are also effective as a tool to alter the electromagnetic fields and impulses of a human or an environment. This is how you are stimulated by sound. This is how you are activated by what it is that you can hear. Next, we'll look at the pitch of sound. Pitch is the highness or lowness of a sound, and pitch is determined by the speed at which it vibrates. The faster the sound vibrates, the higher the pitch. Now, low tones will bend around objects when they're emitted, and high-pitched tones are much more focused than low-pitched tones. Another way we measure sound is through decibel levels. For example, 1 decibel is the quietest sound the average person can hear. Now, decibels will increase their effects logarithmically. For example, 10 decibels of sound is 10 times greater than 1 decibel. Now, 20 decibels is 10 times greater than the 10 decibel range, or 100 times greater than the 1 decibel. So 90 decibels, for example, is the range that you can hear now. It is equal to the sound of a train pulling into a subway station. But 100 decibels would be equal to the sound of 10 trains pulling to the subway station at the same time. Also, we look at the wave patterns of sound. Now, waves would be the rhythmic disturbance that carries the energy of sound. Now, a wavelength is the distance between a point on a wave and the identical point on the next wave. And in between that distance is a period, a time required for one wavelength to pass, and the frequency, the number of waves passing per second. And the unit of measure of the frequency of wave patterns is known as the hertz, or Hz. Now, the frequency would be the number of waves passing per second, with the unit measure being the hertz, but then the amplitude would be the greatest distance of a wave's rise or fall. And the wave velocity is the distance that a wave will travel per second. So how do I figure out the wavelength? It has to be the velocity divided by the frequency, and that will give you your hertz. And here you have, for example, a high-frequency wave. You can see how the wavelengths are much shorter in period. And low-frequency waves, you can see how the period of the wavelength is longer. Now, what does this all have to do with the idea of sound for poetry or the sound in speaking? Well, the speech words and their sounds will vibrate to different parts of the body, and this is made up of 2 elements, such as consonants and vowels. Every letter and combination of letters has a significance in speech. And when you create the sound of those letters or combinations of letters, they're going to make the tone or the texture. And a lot of times with the ideal of speech, you look closely at word endings. They might be fluid or they might be harsh, such as the word slice, baffling. And then the fluid sounds like slice and baffling, but you might have harsh sounds like cat or difficult. Again, you're going to have these very fluid sounds from the vowels, or maybe if you have a very soft consonant sound, whereas cat, difficult, you have those T sounds at the end would make the sound endings quite harsh. So when we look at the sounds for words and letters, they can add to the meaning or give a sense of connotation. Sometimes O sounds and letters that connect to images, such as the moon rose over the ocean, the sounds that you have as those O sounds are stretching will give you a sense of imagery, and that longer sound pattern and vibration is going to give a sense of connotation, perhaps of calmness. Now the soft sounding consonants like R, J, M, N, S, V, and W will do very similarly with the vowels, where they will make these softer connotations, such as hard-sounding consonants, especially at word endings, such as K, D, Q, T, C, B, P. They're going to give a hard sound, and therefore their connotation is going to be more harsh. And then some letters and combinations of letters create full, thin, or even open sounds. Thank you so much for stopping by for a quick pattern on sound waves when it comes to poetry and speaking. If you'd like me to go through examples, or would you like to learn more about sounds and how they affect speech patterns, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what more I can teach. And as always, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Take care.